Talk about something that has maybe been less fun this weekend as a whole, but then we're going to talk about two specific players because I don't think that the Rangers are necessarily like in a long-term offensive funk because they've been playing on fire before this, but two particular players, Adolis Garcia and Leody Taveras. Where do you want to start? Because one is, I don't know, I want to say Leody's a bigger issue, but because of where Adolis is in the lineup, this concerns me as well.
I think it's 50-50.
Okay.
One, is going to still be in the lineup.
Sure.
I do think Leody at this point, I do think the Rangers strongly need to consider at least having conversations on, hey, how much longer can we give Leody to try to break out of this? Because this is not a week or 2 weeks. It's even kind of longer than a month now. So I think Adolis is going to be in your lineup. Right. He's going to be batting third, fourth, or fifth.
Let's talk about that really quick then. And then we'll move into the probably more pressing Leody. Is Adolis Garcia, he didn't play on Sunday. Bochy just said, look, he's just not on time. He's a little late on his fastball. Adolis Garcia, 2 for 18 in his 5 games against the Angels and the Brewers. And he struck out in half of his at-bats. He's hitting 200 in his last 15 games. And if you expand it out to the last 30 games, 226. Here's the part that I guess always surprises me and is a little concerning. Is Adolis Garcia, for most of the year, he had been a plus 1.8 runs above average versus fastballs. Nearly half the pitches he's seen have been fastballs. Since August 6th, so not even that long of a time, he's a minus 4.2 runs above average versus fastballs. So he is bad. He has been bad against fastballs.
The other thing, Mike, April, 28 RBI. May, 19. June, 17. July, 18. Right now, 8.
And honestly, Seager's having a good month.
Yeah.
When he's healthy.
Yeah, but
Simeon's having an all right month, and Nate Lowe's having a pretty good month getting on base. So it's not like sometimes you could say, well, the 3 guys in front of him aren't getting on base. He's having opportunities.
Yeah, and so like that's when we're talking about the run production of the entire team, just being missing, that's a huge part of it. Because that's in that part of your lineup where this guy drives in a couple runs. Now he's on base, and the next guy, so the next groups, we talk about that a lot.
Here's the issue with Garcia. This is only his 3rd year in the major leagues for the most part, because 2020 is a weird year, right?
Sure. I think everyone would agree with that.
So you look at this is his 3rd full season in Major League Baseball. His first year, he was great in the first half, and he made the All-Star team, and then the second half, just a nosedive, right? Yes. It was really tough. And then last year, he was pretty consistent throughout the year. So you had a consistent player that you're like, yes, everybody goes through ups and downs, but if you look at month to month, if you look at first half to second half, very similar. You're like, okay. And now this year, it's playing out like his first year. So there's more time with Adolis to know what he is more than Leody. But is last year what he is, a consistent guy, or is his first year more of like what he is because it's starting to play out? There's still a lot of time left in this season, but it's starting to play out. Is he more of a first half guy who loses energy? Does his body break down on him where just this load of a season, this long of a season is tough on him? I don't know, but right now I am a little bit concerned that his first year in Major League Baseball is starting to play out the same way again.
And Corey, I don't know if you feel this same way then, because somebody texted this in, and I've seen it throughout the show. The Rangers are out of gas. I do not believe that is the case. I know they've lost
some of the guys kind of
exactly,
look like they are.
And that's why we're focusing on individuals. Yeah. But as a team, I don't believe that's the case. Before this 4-game losing streak, they had gone 12-2. I get it. Yeah. If let's say in that stretch, so they're still 12-6 in their last 18 games. If it was 6-12 and the lead was totally gone, well, I guess actually you'd be behind now. Then I would see the point. But they were on fire before this.
I don't think that person really. I think they're a casual baseball fan. I don't think they're a hardcore baseball fan. First of all, are they out of gas because of the weather here? Obviously, they get to play indoors.
Yeah, that's changed.
Let's just look at this. Let's look at after the All-Star break. 6 guys make the All-Star team. Eovaldi throws one game against Tampa Bay. That's all you've had him for the whole second half. He's pretty much been MIA because of injury since the All-Star break. And in fact, they tried to rest him a little bit. He must have been dealing with something right before the All-Star break too. Because if you recall, they skipped the start with him or moved him back.
Yes.
They were really concerned about him, and then he only throws one game and has not pitched since in a Major League Baseball game. And then you look at Seager. He got hurt again, unfortunately, and had to miss time. We look at Jonah Heim. He's missed time, and now he's only a left-handed batter, which is causing issues. Then Josh Young breaks his thumb on a line drive to him, and he's out for now until maybe the last 2 weeks of the season. So you're dealing with all of these all-stars getting hurt. And then one of your all-stars, Adolis Garcia, who's not hurt, has now tremendously struggled. Two guys we talked about that we thought it was unfair. And obviously, look, they made the right decision. Julio Rodriguez was the right decision for that all-star game in Seattle. There's a lot of reasons why, but people were complaining here, understandably so. Look at Leody's year. Look at Ezekiel Duran's year. And from what I heard from some people in the Rangers organization, they really wanted one of those guys to make it as a replacement because they felt like they might not ever have a first half like they had. And now we're seeing second halves, especially from one we're about to get into, where you're like, yeah, that might have been his one best chance to make the all-star team.
So let's talk about the other one, because Leody Taveras is a significantly longer-term issue. Like Adolis Garcia, he's had ups and downs, and these last 5 games have been tough, but he has had a very good season. We will see how he bounces back from the day off and everything.
He hasn't been hit by a pitch this month, and that's something I'm concerned about.
Well, I think the thing is we're going to have to
Every month he was hit, at least one time he was hit by a pitch, Kevin.
We're going to have to live or die with Adolis Garcia batting fourth.
Yes, absolutely.
There's no other option. We're done. We don't have any other option.
Yeah.
With Leody, I think you start thinking about other options.
So you get to the All-Star break. Leody Taveras hitting a .295 with .473 slugging. That might be the most astonishing of the numbers. And an .812 OPS. I tell you that at the beginning of the year, you're like, holy crap, did we find our guy? Since then, he has been, I'm sorry, I know this is harsh language, but since the All-Star break, he has been absolutely abysmal. This month alone, 150 batting average with a .411 OPS. Think about that. His OPS this month is lower than his slugging percentage was the first half of the season. That is madness.
And he looks frustrated.
Sure.
Mike, when he got...
Wouldn't you be? Every time you come to the plate, there's a 90% chance you're almost not getting on base.
Well, that's where it's like, it looks like it could be in his head. Because when he was up at the plate and he laid down his bunt, he looked ecstatic that he got runners over. They didn't even score. He just got runners over in position to score. He was excited about it because he was like, I got to do something. And that's where I'm wondering if it's less mechanics and whatever like he's doing at the plate, because early in the season they showed a couple of different things that they adjusted. Him bending his knees just a little bit. His hands were in a different spot. The way he was opened up, like everything was a little bit different. So I think it's less about that and more about just what's between the ears right now with him.
Yes and no. Major League, we're the greatest of all time, Major League pitchers. Same with the hitters. The hitters got the best of me. Right now, he came in with a new approach. It's very different. I'm working off of what he did in 2022. I'm facing Leody Taveras. I'm facing him from the right side. I'm going off of his scouting report last year. That's what my team is giving me, and that's what they're giving me through about the first month of the season for the most part. There's a little bit of advanced scouting as you get close to the end of April, but it's like, whoa. As the scouts are starting to look after about a month going, this dude's kind of changed his approach and everything. Like, we got to make an adjustment here, and it might take some time. So now these great scouts and these great pitching coaches and these great pitchers are making adjustments to what Leody was doing in the first few months of the season. Because you look at July, he was a .239 hitter. We would die for that right now.
Yes.
But a .261 on base, that's not major league. You can't be a major leaguer and get on base 26% of the time. You better be hitting 40 home runs in that situation. So now you look at him in August, you mentioned it, his on-base percentage is .161. I don't care how he gets on base. He has to get on base. To me, going into this season, I said this. I said if he can get on base 33% of the time, I know that's a higher number, but get on base 33% of the time. However you get on, just get on, bunt on, slash on. However you get on, just get on base because you become a valuable asset on base. I don't need you to hit a home run your whole life. Just get on first base, steal some bases, do what you got to do. Now his on-base percentage is down to 297 for the year. And for the last 30 days, it's at 188. For the last 15 days, it's at 119. He has a 190. Yeah. He's getting on base 12% of the time, rounding up for 2 weeks. At this point, because we're almost out of time here, at this point, I do think the Rangers need to consider Evan Carter. You do have JP Martinez up. And I do think there needs to be a serious
run with him when they were like, he's hot.
He's hot. And maybe they think JP Martinez is better. I know that overall they know that JP Martinez they do not believe will ever be as good as Evan Carter. I'm just going to give you what Evan Carter's done in the month of August compared to Leody Taveras. And this is where I think they need to have a strong conversation and maybe think about making a change. Evan Carter's batting .250. That does not sound that spectacular. His on-base percentage is .442 for the month. It's AA versus major leagues. Major league pitchers are way better than AA pitching. Now, their stuff is the same. There's no difference. If you go to a Frisco Rough Riders game and you watch 5 guys pitch against Frisco versus the 5 guys that pitch for Milwaukee, you're going to see the same speeds. You're going to see similar breaks. You're going to see similar stuff. What you're not going to see is the command and control that major league pitchers have versus AA pitchers. But the stuff, the velocity, the break, the movement is going to be the same. It's the location, it's the sequencing of pitches that are way better at a major league level than a AA level. But if you go from a 442 on base, let's just drop it down 150 points. It's still going to be better than 161.
Yeah.
And so this is where Leody, it's a longer conversation I want to have, but it's this thing with Chris Young too that he has to look at. I do think Leody's going to be a very strong trade candidate in the offseason. If I send him down to the minor leagues tomorrow, what does that suggest to all 29 teams when it comes to if I am interested in Leody, who's still a young guy? Leody,
we don't think he's a big leaguer.
At 24 years old, the Rangers are saying in a run to the playoffs, we're not sure if he can help us. Now, would you send down JP Martinez and say Leody stays up as a 4th outfielder or a 5th outfielder? Maybe you do that and you send down JP Martinez. But I'm just wondering in this situation, it's been over a month now for Leody. It's pretty much been the whole second half. I do think in this, it's win now. It's not develop now. It's win now. Do you go, does Evan Carter give us a better chance of winning now than Leody Taveras? My answer, which means absolutely nothing, is yes. I would probably make the change. Do I send Leody down to AAA or do I send him to the bench and send JP Martinez down? That's another, I don't know. I don't know exactly how I do that. I have to look at my future. I have to look at trade value. I have to look at a lot of things if I'm Chris Young. But at this point, I have to look at Leody going, I can't do this, because really what happens is you're eliminating a designated hitter. You're saying if you just look at stats from major league pitchers when they used to hit, you would say at this point for over a month now, Leody is giving me somewhat pitcher hitting stats. And I can't live with that because other guys are struggling. Josh Young isn't playing. Jonah Heim is limited. Adolis Garcia is struggling. We're not scoring. I cannot afford to have a 150 on base percentage guy in my lineup.